You want to give a lot of time and attention to your opening piece and your closing piece. The other thing is you want to have both of those things memorized. Don't get up and have to read, like I came up with my cards and started reading. You don't want to have to read your opening. You want to be making eye contact with your audience as you open and close your presentation. So memorize it. Memorize the opening, memorize the closing. If you have to go to notes in the middle, that's fine. When you use notes, if you have to use notes, has anybody noticed what I've been doing when I go back to look at my notes? What happens? Anyone?
You don't talk.
I'm not talking, right? I did a little bit with the PowerPoint at the beginning. When I go back to look at my notes, I'm just going to be quiet, and I'm going to come back here. I see speakers all the time say, okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about is helpful notes, know the purpose of the meeting, and the subject of the speech is what happens when I start reading to you? Where do you go? Kroger, right? I saw you in the milk aisle. There's nothing wrong with taking a break, looking at your notes, coming back. It feels long to you. And as a speaker, when you're first doing it, as speakers, we have a tendency to want to fill every second. We don't want there to be any silence in the room. You don't need to do that. And actually, when you learn to enjoy the silence and to look at your notes or whatever you have to do and have it be quiet for a second, it's really kind of cool because you start to control the room a little bit. And if you're like me, if you're a control freak, that's the best thing. Because people are waiting to hear what you're going to say next, rather than drifting off. I don't do it just for the control freak aspect, but I do it because it's good presentation. So, if you have to take a moment to look at your notes, go ahead and stop. If you have note cards, then come back and continue speaking. Bill Cosby has a great phrase. He says, learn to love the silence. As a presenter, you have to learn to love the silence. Don't be afraid of that break. It doesn't feel long to you when I pause. It feels really long to me. Once you start to do it, it won't feel long at all. And again, you're controlling where your audience's attention is. And that's a really big part of giving a presentation. We're going to talk way more about that when we talk about PowerPoint. But you want to control where your audience's attention goes, what they're listening to, what they're not listening to.